When we talk about rural America, we find ourselves caught between the language of crisis and the language of myth. The two languages mirror each other. We can measure a crisis by how far it seems to carry us away from an imagined idea of normal, that is, from a myth. John Brinkerhoff Jackson, one of our foremost writers about landscapes, noted some time ago that when Americans look at a particular landscape, we tend to see it not as it is, with its own unique character, but as a degenerate version of the traditional landscape. We look, Jackson asserted, and what we see is a long drawn-out backsliding. Trapped in this circular discourse, we haven't been able to see rural America as clearly as we ought to, and we have been blinded to do things as they are. But we can think differently about the rural. We can sidestep the tropes of crisis and myth by looking instead at how four of the major forces that propel modern America have shaped rural spaces to the same extent as they have formed the rest of the country, and especially since the end of World War II: militarization, industrialization, corporatization, and suburbanization. These forces aren't discrete or independent from one another, and there is considerable overlap among them. But we can see rural spaces and those who live in them more clearly if we look military bases, not family farms, national corporations rather than Main Street shops, the rural world as it actually is rather than what we expect it to be. But first I want to dispense with the ideas of crisis and myth. No word has been used more consistently to describe rural America than crisis, and a perpetual sense of crisis has driven our attempts to understand and address what is going on in rural places in study after study, report after report, and policy prescription after policy prescription for at least a century. The DNA of that crisis has also been remarkably unchanging. Economic and social decline, backsliding, twine around each other to create a sense that something has gone wrong, whether in the 1880s, the 1930s, the 1980s, or today.